Okay, so tonight I'm going to give you a guaranteed solution to unleashing the body inside without starving yourself, slaving in the gym, or following ridiculous fad diets. How does that sound? Okay. Hands up who doesn't know me. Anyone? Who's never met me before? Small amount of people. Hands up high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, cool. So, yes, I'm not that strange. I just thought that image was a little bit funny when I was looking for something to represent who hadn't met me before. Basically, I'm very good at getting results. I'm very good at helping people find out what they want to do with their life, and also very good at giving people purpose and direction with what they're doing. All right. So, I'm going to start off with a bit of a pop quiz. Who's ready for that? Everyone's a little quiet. Are you just nervous? You're supposed to be me that's nervous standing up here. Okay, so anybody want to shout out what is the #1 way to burn fat?
Exercise.
Okay, it's a bit broad. Specific, anything? A specific type of exercise, anyone? Okay, you guys know. I educate you well. Anybody that doesn't know, want to shout out and have a go? Why do you think that is? Anyone care to say why? No? Hey, it's a quiet. I hope it's... Hey, I tell you what, there's one thing, right? When, if anyone been to college or school before? Yeah? Yeah. Everyone's been to school, yeah? Hands up, you've been to school, right? You ever have a boring teacher?
Yes.
Alright, you used to think, oh wow, they're so boring. Right? When you start presenting in front of people, you can have a boring audience as well, right? That's probably what your teacher had, alright? So make sure you interact. Alright, so what's the most important meal of the day? Anyone shout out quickly, first answer? Okay, good. Why? Anyone want to say it? Anyone know? This is just to get a general idea of where you're up to with what you understand and stuff, okay? So basically, these questions, how many hours of exercise per week does it take to lose the maximum amount of weight? Anyone care to answer that? 2.5?
3 hours. 3
hours?
3 hours.
How much, let me rephrase that question. How much time does the average person trying to lose weight spend in the gym per night?
2 hours.
2 hours. So we're talking about 10 hours a week, right? Okay, this is just a little bit of fun where we should all quite kind of know this question, but where does calcium come from and what is our biggest source of fibre? Yeah, maybe. Anything else?
Spinach.
Okay. Good answer on both counts, okay? So we're going to cover some of these topics within tonight. I'm not going to give you the answers right now because that means you probably just walk out the door. So I might be boring you already. Okay, so in the next 60 minutes you're going to discover why what 99% of fitness trainers, health practitioners, gyms, wannabe know-it-alls, doctors and anyone else you think of can say about fat loss is completely wrong. Okay? It's quite a bold statement made, right? But I've got experience of working with over 1,800 women, alright? I just checked our membership site last night and 1,800 people, men and women, have gone through our fitness camps right throughout the country, which is pretty phenomenal, to be honest. I didn't realise it was that many. Alright, but I'm going to teach you exactly in the next 60 minutes. Would that be cool? Yeah? Yeah. Awesome. And I'm going to teach you what the 1% of people do who actually get results and what they do differently so that you can navigate your way through the bullshit and finally unleash the body inside. Okay, because let's face it, there's a lot of information out there. Agreed? A lot of confusing stuff out there, agreed?
Yeah.
Okay, so, if you stick with me right till the end, I promise I'll give you a gift and I hope you don't end up like that. I've just literally spent about 8 hours today looking for funny images for the whole presentation. I wasted about 4 hours trying to find that. Okay, this is me. Except he's got more hair. I wish I had that much hair. Yeah, I'm from Newcastle, in case you couldn't guess by my accent. I'll try and slow my voice down as much as possible. I've got very good at doing this over the years of living down here. But when I get excited and I get passionate, I tend to talk a lot faster. Does that make any sense? So I can start to talk a lot very, very fast. So if at all you kind of struggle to understand me, just shout out and say, whoa. Yeah. Say, why I, man? Alright, so, yeah, I'm not going to give you the whole life story like most people would, but it's not about me, it's about you. But yeah, I moved down here about 3 years ago, set up a fitness training business, grew it to 20 locations across the UK, trained over 1,800 women, reduced the size again now, back to just working here. We've got an indoor fitness facility now, and the aim is to grow that fitness facility and become the premier training centre on the world. Okay? So that's a very short, rapid thing from Newcastle to here to where we are right now. Okay, think about this. Take out your pens if you got one. What will happen if you don't, first of all, pay attention tonight, and secondly, take action on the information I share with you? Okay, so what will happen? What do you think will happen?
The same.
Okay, yeah, so write it down. Write anything down that you want, alright? I'm going to ask you to do a lot of things tonight. So if we don't participate, we become passive in our work, then we don't actually learn anything. We don't actually embrace it and we don't take it in, okay? So, for those of you that don't know, there's a bit of a reality check right ahead of you, alright? Every single one of us is here for a specific reason. And you're kidding yourself if you say there isn't one thing you'd like to make improvements upon. Am I right in saying that? Yeah? Everybody's here for a specific reason. You didn't just come here to listen to me talk really fast and ramble about stuff, did you? Yeah, you're here for a specific reason. So, ask yourself right now, why am I here? Okay? Take out your pen and write it down. It's important. Why are you here? You want to get the most out of this. So I want you to really think about the reason that you're here so that you can take away the biggest takeaway. You can get exactly what you want out of it. Have you got that, yeah? Good, cool. Okay, so, why should you listen to this Geordie? Alright, this guy who's just standing up in front of you. Why should you give me your time more importantly, okay? Because time's important. We're going to talk a little bit about time tonight. Alright, you can't get more time. So why should you give me an hour of your time? I'm just going to relate some things here. So there, Sarah's in the crowd, £37 gone since September. That's right. That's an average of £7 a week, £7.5 a week, alright, since September. Taylor, 2 weeks, £12 lost. Okay. Andrea, feeling super amazing. That for me is big as any weight loss, right? Getting people to feel like that is as well as somebody saying I've lost a lot of weight, because as we get into it, it's not just about weight, alright? I'm going to read this out quickly. And honestly say that FCA and the support from Chris Brown and Danielle is beyond anything you would get from a diet club or gym class. FCA is not only about changing your body shape and improving fitness, it's about giving you the tools to be able to make positive changes in all aspects of your life. Since I joined FCA, I've lost 19 pounds of body fat and over 20 inches overall my body. I'm the fittest and happiest I've ever been. Chris will show you how important your mindset is with the weight loss journey and explain why so many diets and training programs have failed you before. The support from the FCA members is also vital for the journey. Okay, pretty amazing, right? Jenny, actually, believe it or not, was like a size 10 and she still lost 19 pounds. Yeah? And that just shows that it's not about what size you are. Like, everybody's got an amount of fat to drop. And you can drop a lot of fat. Okay? And it's just about changing your body composition. And the things, Vicky's in here as well, I hope she doesn't mind me sharing this. But before meeting Chris, I can honestly say I was the only happiest I'd been in my life, wherein I should have been my happiest. I'd been married a year and had my 2-year-old little boy. My problem was my baby weight. I tried everything under the sun to get rid of it, but it just wouldn't budge. After seeing what results my sisters and best friend were getting from Chris, I decided to give it a go. Within a month, I'd lost a stone, my body changed shape dramatically, and I hadn't looked like this ever, not even in school. Since then, I've lost another stone gradually and 2 dress sizes. Not only has Chris given me the tools to do this and keep it off, he's helped me with the courage to better myself at home, with work and socially. I'm constantly being told how much happier I look, and it goes without saying how happy I actually am. Thank you, Chris, Danielle, and my FCA fanboy. You are the bomb. Pretty good, eh? Amazing. These lot have me in tears at Christmas. Like, Natalie here, done 14 days of clean living. 1 more pound to go for a stone. Yeah, Natalie's changed dramatically over the last few weeks. She's gone into one of our smaller group training programs called Barbell Babes, and the results are insane from there. This is just somebody expressing like frustration at the kind of diet and exercise industry, because there's so much stuff out there, so much confusion, and my job in this fitness industry, I'm literally on a mission to help people understand that they can do whatever they want to do, and they do have the body inside of them. They just have to get the right tools. All right, we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But if you see down here, who thinks like eating 5 days a meal, that's 5 meals a day, sorry, they've been told that before, yeah, is the best way to kickstart your metabolism. Alright, we're going to talk about that as well tonight, but Jill there only ate her first meal at half 1, which has lost over half a stone in like 2 weeks there. Okay, so this is a massive, massive message, but I'm just going to pull out some of the highlights. 8 stone 6 pounds since the first time ever, and the lady that it is, I've took her name off, but she's been struggling with diet and exercise for a long time. She tells me that every single Sunday night she would search the magazines for which diet she'd start on the Monday. Every single Sunday, okay? And it says here, the last time I weighed this much was over a year ago, and this was through the Cambridge diet of 600 calories a day. Okay, as soon as she stopped that, she put like 1.5 stone on, right? Because the body's just massively calorie depleted. It's not a healthy way to do things. And she genuinely never thought it was possible to lose it without either going hungry or deprived of treats. Okay? So for the same weight as well, she told me that she's a smaller size for the same weight. And that is not by coincidence, it's because body fat is 3 times more dense than muscle. Alright? So I might not look it, but I'm actually 15 stone. But somebody who you kind of associate with being 15 stone has definitely got a bit of a beard on it. Yeah? So you can actually be a lot heavier, but in a smaller frame. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay. I hope you're as excited as this little guy here. Alright? I hope you're as excited as him about what we're about to learn, okay? So, there's no longer a reason to suffer, okay? Happiness is a choice whether you believe that or not, okay? Happiness is a choice whether you believe that or not. And whatever you do believe, you're right, okay? And we're going to talk about that as well tonight. And I understand it's difficult, okay? Before I got with Danielle, she's got a little girl, and she's at the back there. I didn't really understand what it was like to have kids, right? Because I was single, I cooked all of my own meals, I didn't have anyone else to look after, I could slob around if I wanted to, I could get out of bed when I wanted to, apart from when I was training days. So I didn't truly understand what it was like, right? Now I've got a far better perspective, and after working with over 1,800 people, I understand a hell of a lot more than probably people understand themselves, alright? Okay, and it comes down to this. Time versus money. And I see this all of the time, like every single day of my life. I see people doing things that they hate just to earn money, alright? Wasting the time, the valuable time, right, which you can never replenish again, okay? You can always get more money, right? Money's just a measuring tool that we created as humans, okay? Time is something that we also created, but the clock's ticking. You can't get any more back. So, I see people doing things in the gym for like 18 months and never changing, right? So that's 18 months of invested time. And people never think about time as an investment, right? They always think about money as an investment. Time is an investment. Okay, so you should use your time investments wisely. Because if you waste that, you don't get another chance. If you invest, say somebody invested £10,000 in a business, it didn't work, right? There's always ways to make £10,000 again, okay? As long as you have the right mentality, right mindset around it. Say you invest 2 years into that business, okay, you don't get those 2 years back. Does that make sense? So we're in this constant battle between time versus money. And Jane, who's sitting right at the back there, told me she's had better results in 4 months of working with us than what she has in 18 years of her gym membership. Okay, 18 years. And what's that, about 50 quid a month, 40 quid a month, Jane? You get a discount, yeah. Yeah, so imagine that, 50 quid a month for 18 years, right? To never get any further forward. And never get close to where you want to be. Right? That's a time investment, that's a massive time investment. Yeah, add 18 years onto my life and I'm starting to sweat a little because I want to be retired by then. Okay? So you have to think.
18 years.
Yeah, I'll be 24 then. No, so you've got to think about your time investments as well. You've got to think about what you're doing because, like, I understand when people say they can't afford to do stuff, they can't afford this, they can't afford that, but they can afford to waste years of their life trying to figure it out themselves. Right? If my car was to break down, I wouldn't spend days upon days upon days upon days trying to figure out how to do it, right? I'd take it to what? A mechanic. Yeah? Because why? He's the expert to get my car back on the road quicker than what I could ever get it back on the road. That makes sense? So when it comes to exercise and diet, I don't get it why we think we can do it on our own. Right? Why? Like, I still have a coach myself. I get somebody to write my programs. Why? Because I can't do it on my own. Right? Because I'll give myself stuff that's maybe a little bit easier. And if I get Luca to write my programs, he says he lives in Seattle and in America. He literally says, I hope you're training, otherwise I'm going to fly over there and slap you. Right? And he's a bit mean, he's from Slovenia, and he's a bit mean looking. So, the fact is, everybody needs a coach, everybody needs somebody to tell them when they're out of line, when they're out of check, right? Otherwise, we can just coast through life, coast through everything. So, it's a huge debate, this, and it's part of what we're going to talk about tonight. So, I'm going to introduce to you the most underrated and never talked about element of success in weight loss. Anybody want to take a guess at what it is?
Being healthy.
Good shout. This has took me, wait until you see it, right? This has took me 4 years of actually coaching people in weight loss, 9 years of actually coaching people. I've been coaching since I was 17 through soccer academies and stuff. And then went to university, then four and a half years worth of coaching people through weight loss. And it took me this long to come up with this thing, right? These two things. Okay. The most underrated proportion of weight loss, right, is intensity and simplicity. So you're probably thinking that's got absolutely nothing to do with weight loss, right? And I've come to a point in my life where I understand that intensity and simplicity goes far beyond just being successful in weight loss, but in every aspect of our life. Okay? And this is something, when somebody said to me one time that I can't multitask, I started thinking about it, right? Gets said a lot, men can't multitask. But then I started thinking about it, well, why would we want to multitask? Why would we want to do something half-assed over like 10 different things instead of doing one thing right? Why would we want to do that? It doesn't make sense to me, right? So when I discovered this, it was only recently as well, and today the theme of the whole thing come up today about this. If we do things simply, with intensity, we get better results. Alright? And if you understand this principle, okay, I missed this slide. Say what? Are you crazy? It might not resonate with you, you might not believe me. You don't have to necessarily believe me, you just have to accept that what I'm saying is true. And it gets results, as you've already seen. And that's a big thing about tonight. You don't have to believe what I'm saying, you just have to accept that it's right and it's true. Because it gets results. Alright, so, Apple is a great example of this. I think I'm talking about Apple, it's a weight loss seminar, right? Look how simple that logo is, right? Look how simple it is. Did you know that Steve Jobs, when he started off, had 4 products? That's it, just 4. They had business computer, home computer, business laptop, home laptop. Okay, Mac, an iMac, MacBook Pro, business and home versions. That was it. Just 4 products, right? And his theory was that he wanted to keep things simple so that he could easily scale it, right? Because if he'd done them 4 things really well with intensity, then he'd generate a lot of revenue then to branch out, okay? And they still do it very well now. They distinguish themselves very, very differently. In fact, did you know that Apple have more money than the American government right now? Hey? More money than the American government. How insane is that? So it shows you that simplicity, right? It's not even Apple written underneath, right? The logo's that simple. It's key. So if you understand this principle, everything that you do becomes easy because you start to go back to the principle, right? Methods, there are many. Principles never change. Okay? Methods, there are many. Principles never change. And this is a principle. So if you understand this, see that oak tree there? See that big ass trunk there? Yeah? Imagine you've got 2 people with an axe. Right? 2 people with an axe. One guy is just swinging at it all over. He's even got 2 axes and he's swinging. Yeah? 1,000 times he hits the tree, but in different places everywhere. Yeah, what do you think the damage is to the tree? Minimal. Minimal, because one little hit every now and then is very small, okay? What do you think of the guy, right, who's hitting it with precision, the same place, every time? Loads of intensity, okay? Swinging as hard as he can, 1,000 times in the same spot. What do you think will happen? Eventually a tree will fall down, right? So what is that? It's one method done with intensity. So it's simple and it's intense. Does that make sense? The other guy is swinging 2 axes, he's chopping all over the place, he's doing as much as he can, but he's got the intensity part right, but he hasn't got a simple method for it. He's trying to multitask to take the tree down. Okay? And much like our weight loss journey, for a lot of people, when they look at it, they think it's a huge, huge journey. Yeah? Who's been intimidated by the thought that they may want to lose like a few stone before? A lot of us, even a few pounds, right? Because so many times we've been through the cycle of win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, yeah? Or yo-yo diet. Okay, who's felt like that before? Felt like throwing the scales out the window. Yeah? If you don't understand this principle, and if you don't take this principle away with you, it's going to lead to frustration. It's going to lead to you kind of juggling between different methods, trying different methods at once. So you might be doing someone shouted a diet, cabbage diet, Cambridge diet, shakes, all these different crazy things like not eating and running, killing yourself in the gym for 2 hours a night. Who wants to spend 2 hours a night in the gym? Seriously. Would you not rather have that time with your family? Remember when we pre-framed this all that you don't get time back? Okay, so would you want to spend that 2 hours in the gym, or would you rather do something better, more effective? Okay? So people that don't understand this principle will continually search for the next shiny object, the next best thing. They'll be like the lady who I showed you who is searching for the new diet every Sunday night. Because they're trying to do complicated things and they're not doing it with intensity, right? 7 days is not intensity. Yeah? Devoting every single day, every single hour to getting what you want is intensity. Okay? Most people might say that's crazy, it's too extreme, whatever, but I tell you what is extreme is the fact of the matter that you're not happy with yourself. Alright? You look in the mirror, you don't like what you see. Right? Is that not extreme? Every single day, those memories running over in your head. And I know from having deep conversations with a lot of our members, missing social events. Yeah? Feeling nervous when you're going on a night out because you can't find anything to wear. Spending hours searching for the perfect dress when it doesn't really exist. Okay? Because up here isn't right. Okay? The dress is there, just up here isn't right. Okay? So, when people say that's extreme, devoting every single day to getting what you want, well, maybe, but there's 2 types of people in life. The people who persevere and succeed are the people who make excuses as to why they can't do it. That's it. There is no other. There's a result or there is an excuse. That's it. Okay? So you need to understand this principle of being simple and intense with everything that you do. Reducing the amount of things that you're doing in your life, but doing them better. Okay? Being more fulfilled in that, and more focused in that one thing. One or two things. I used to find this very difficult because I enjoy studying a wide range of stuff. But it has like caught up with me now that I've got so much stuff that I can't keep up with it. So I've had to reduce projects, get other people in on projects, because I understand that if I can't do intensity and I can't keep it simple, I can't succeed. That make sense? Great. So, training intensity, what does that mean? I'll tell you. Friday night, we checked into the village, myself, Danielle and Alex, for a night just to go wind down, went to the pool all day, and I decided to train on Friday tea time, okay, which is International Bicep Day, in case you didn't know. Alright? International Bicep Day. Monday's International Chest Day, because everybody's knackered from the weekend, they just want to go to the gym for a lie down. Alright? So I'm in there, there's one guy sitting on a chest press, which if you don't know what it is, probably he's been at work sitting down all day, he goes to the gym, he sits down. Okay, sat there pushing this machine, right? 6 reps, stops, right, for about 4 minutes. 6 reps again, stops for about 4 minutes again. I've done a 6-minute EDT session, which I'm going to talk you through. It's an escalating density session. I've done 32 sets of exercise in the same time he done 2. Right? What does that mean? He's got to be in the gym, where's my maths? 16 times longer than me to get the same workload. Alright? So that's training intensity. So going off his set, right, so it's like 5 minutes a set, right? He'd be in the gym like 16 times 5. It's a lot of time. Alright? And that was only one portion of my training. I've done actually 62 sets in the whole thing. And I was in there like 30 minutes. Done. That's warm-up and cool-down included. Right? Most people hadn't even finished the bicep curls by the time I was in and out, right? And you think, that muscle compared to everywhere else in the body that you train is minutia. So it's not going to give a big bang for the buck. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, I'm generalizing here, but I'm pretty good at generalizing. So you've tried to lose weight in the gym before. Agreed? Hands up if you have. Yeah, hands up, everybody. And most likely you failed at some point. Am I right? Yeah? Most likely it's felt like shit. Yeah? Because you've been doing really well for a period of time, and then it all goes to shit, you don't know what's happened, it's a weekend, and Thursday to Sunday, everything goes out the window, then it takes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to gradually get back into it. By Wednesday you might be better, by Thursday the cycle starts again. Am I right? And you go around with very little energy, you're walking around like a zombie, you feel tired all the time, you're groggy, you're noggy, all these different things, and that's because you've tried something, it's worked for a period of time, you failed. Okay, but that doesn't make you a failure. Okay, this is huge. Has anybody ever felt like a failure before? Dieting or exercising, whatever, because they can't stick to something, right? Here's a little story for you. See this little girl here tying a shoelace? Anybody got children? Anybody ever seen a child? Yeah? Okay. Not sure, you guys aren't putting your hands up. So, this little girl, right? Have you seen the concentration on her face? And we're going to go through this with Alex soon, so I'm really eager to observe it because I've been telling the story for ages. And you see a kid tie a shoelace, right? Anybody watched that before? Yeah, and the face is all over, and they do it with the fingers, like using every single finger to try and tie the shoelace. And then they think they get it, and they pull it.
Oh.
Devastated, right? Absolutely devastated. How many times do they do that? Seriously, how long does it take to learn to tie a shoelace? Hundreds. Years sometimes, right? Years. But guess what happened? All of a sudden one day, they tie that shoelace, they get better and better, then bam, they tie it, right? Biggest smile ever on the face. And then guess what's happened? They undo it dead quickly, they do it again, and they do it again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Right? Guess what happened? The 2 years previous of failures, they forgot about. All they remembered was the one success. Okay? And they replayed that success over and over and over again. Does that make sense? So, thousands upon thousands of times they failed, yet one time they succeeded, and that success is repeated over and over again until in adult life you can pretty much close your eyes, be in the dark, blindfolded, with a dog chasing you, can still tie you to it. Alright? Because you've done it so many times, right? You get in your car, you sit down, what do? Get your key out, bang, straight in. Don't even think about it. Guess why? Because the first couple of times you're like this, right? You ever got a new car and try to do that? I got my car, I didn't realise I had to dip the clutch to turn it on. What's going on here? So the first couple of times you fail, then after that you get good at repeating the success. And then it becomes a point where you just pull your keys out and straight and you don't think about it. Okay? The second you start thinking about it, it comes over again. So we go into this state of autonomy. But that is like anything in life, right? You don't suddenly become good at exercise. You don't suddenly become good at nutrition. What happens is you learn how to do it. You fail a whole load of times, and then you get good at it. So every time you fail, you take a lesson from it. You don't see yourself as a failure. Does that make sense? And that's like anything in life, right? If I wanted to be an astrophysicist, that was the first thing that came to my head. Right now, I don't have a clue about it, right? Apart from the North Star. And I don't even know if that is astrophysics. Right? So it would take me a period of time to learn and probably fail a whole load of exams before I even got there, right? But if I had that heart and that drive inside here, that reason why, then I would go and do it. Okay? And I'd pursue it with what? Intensity, and I'd keep it simple. I'd focus on the basics that I was meant to be studying instead of trying to study a whole bunch of other stuff. Does that make sense? Okay, so remember, a failure is only an opportunity to learn, and a success, all it is a repeated memory. And this is when psychology comes into it, because failures are just repeated memories also. Until you change your self-image, which we're not going to delve into too much tonight, but the more you fail, the more dense your self-image, okay? If you allow it. If you see it and flip that failure as one step closer to getting to where you want to be, then you'll realise that sooner or later around the corner is a success. Does that make sense? And I think I said something the other day on Facebook. The difference between the people who succeed and the people who fail is that the people who succeed persevered when the other people quit. The people who quit didn't realise how close they were to a success, but they quit before they got there. That make sense? Good. Okay, so aerobic exercise. Who's done aerobic exercise before? Hands up, everyone, right? 20 minutes on the treadmill, 20 minutes on the bike, 20 minutes on the rower, Then a bunch of other exercises, right? That's a load of different things. Here's a Google search, right, for chunky aerobic instructor syndrome. It's true, it's a real thing, right? You can Google it. Like 2,700 search results, right? There's a guy called Charles Poliquin who I've studied with, who is a very, very clever guy. Basically, to say if you want a gold medal, go to Charles, and he'll get you a gold medal at the Olympics. Is that good? And he came up with this, and he theorized this back in the day. But aerobic instructors who do a lot of aerobic exercise every day actually aren't that slim, aren't as slim as they think, right? Because they store a lot of fat. Because cardio basically stores fat when you do extended periods of time, because it causes a lot of stress on the body. What happens when you stress? You store fat, yeah, right? You've heard that before. People become stressed, they pile weight on. Exercise is stress like anything else. But if you have a stress bucket, this is how I look at stress, a stress bucket. You've got nutritional stress, you've got exercise, you've got work, you've got family, you've got bills, you've got everything else. This bucket becomes too full. All it takes is one thing to overflow the bucket. That's when you have a meltdown and things go out of sync. Alright? So hormonally it can screw you up. And that's why I want to show you that. That's why training with intensity is important. Okay, so if I was to show you a method for a hugely effective way to burn unwanted body fat in less than 30 minutes, 3 times per week, would you commit to it? Hands up. 3 times per week, 30 minutes. Who can squeeze that in? Yeah, everybody. Everybody can find 30 minutes. Whether it's getting up 30 minutes earlier, whether it's staying up 30 minutes after the kids go to bed, whatever, you can find 30 minutes. Is it worth working hard for 30 minutes and half to a third of that time is rest, and then knowing without a doubt that what you've done actually works and you only have to do it 3 times a week? Is that worth doing? Is that a good trade-off? Okay. Here we go. So 3 exercises. 18 minutes worth of exercise. All you have to do, right? So going back to simplicity and intensity. Pick 3 exercises. Repeat them for 6 repetitions. For 6 minutes. Then rest. Okay? This is all I did in the gym, right? I've done 4 exercises, 6 reps. And I've done 32 sets within 6 minutes. 32 sets. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand that? You want me to break it down? Sets are basically how many times you repeat the 6 repetitions. Repetitions are how many times you repeat the movement. Okay? That's all you have to do. 3 exercises, 6 reps, 6 minutes, rest, repeat. And eventually you do 3, 4, 5, whatever. Or you increase the time. You go 7-minute sets, 8-minute sets, 9-minute sets, as you get fitter and fitter. Okay? How simple does that seem? Does it seem almost so simple that it doesn't seem true? It seems like it has to be way more complicated than that, right? Who makes it more complicated? Generally, fitness trainers, diet companies, marketing agencies with supplements, because why? Money. They want you to spend more money with them. Okay? And I have no doubt in, like, the whole 6 meal a day thing has come from supplement companies, because they want you to consume shakes in between meals because they know there's no physical way that you can cook 6 meals a day. Does that make sense? So, now I'm sure you'll agree that if I was to completely take care of everything and you just turned up 3 times a week and get guaranteed results without thinking, that would be an awesome deal, wouldn't it? Yeah? Pretty good. All you got to do is turn up 3 times a week, train for 30 minutes, and that would be awesome. Agreed? Hands up, yeah? Great work. Okay, so that's literally one method. And remember I said methods there are many, principles there are few. Principles never change, methods always do. Okay? There's a little rhyme for you. I'd like to say I thought of that on the spot, but I didn't. So you think the simplicity and intensity is our principle, yet there's millions of methods that we could incorporate into that. Does that make sense? So, that dude climbing on the clock, I'd love to share hundreds and hundreds and hundreds with you, but I can't right now because we haven't got much time. But what I will do, who would like me to jump off script a second and share another little strategy for you? Little training strategy, really simple. Yeah? That cool? Yeah. Is it alright? Yeah. Okay, so, this is called the doubler. We actually done this morning in training. You pick 3 exercises a game. Guess why? Simple. Guess why that is? Because you can get more intensity when you've got 3 exercises. See, most people trying to do so many different exercises, it becomes so complicated they can't think about it. Keep it at 3. Go with intensity. Alright? So you start with 5 reps or 10 reps. The second exercise, you double the amount of reps. The third exercise, you double them again. That makes sense? So you might do 10 squats, 20 press-ups, 40 burpees. Okay? You do that 3 times through, then you rest. That equals 1 set. And you can repeat that as many times as you want. How simple is that? That stuff gets results. And for those that, hands up if you've never met me before, again. There's a few. That stuff is like some of the most effective stuff we do. Do we do that stuff? Do we actually do it, yeah? Yeah. Exactly. So, you keep things simple, you do it with intensity. That is the thing. Okay, so here's a sign, good and bad habits. Who's got good habits? Anyone got some good habits? I'd like to think so. Like turning up to work every day is the start. Who's got bad habits? Who would like to turn more of the bad habits into good habits? Yeah? Basically, habit development is some of the most powerful thing that you can ever do with anything. And it trumps everything else, right? Behavior patterns trumps everything else. Okay, so when people are telling you this is this 14-day meal plan, this is this, this is this, this is this, I've been guilty of it in the past. And I've completely done a U-turn for those people who've known me for a long time now on how I used to deliver nutrition. Agreed? Some people have known me, trained with me for like 3 years. And I used to have a really strict plan, which I was like, if you don't do this, I'm not training you. Right? Remember that?
Yeah.
And that was more because I wasn't, probably at the time in reflection, like I probably wasn't a competent enough coach to deal with people to help them change their behaviours. Does that make sense? So I was going for the easy people, and I was saying, I was playing on their heartstrings really because they wanted me to get results, and I didn't really want the hassle of trying to coach them through it. Does that make sense? But now, like, I understand that sometimes it's not as easy as just doing that. And we're going to talk about that in a bit. I've said that a lot of times now. But over time, right, let's think about this. I've got £1 million in this hand. Okay? No, sorry, £3 million in this hand. And I've got a penny in this hand. 1 penny. Okay? £3 million and a penny. And I'm going to give you the option right now to take one or the other. Right? Take one or the other. But first of all, I must tell you this one thing. The penny doubles every day for 31 days. Okay, the 3 million stays as 3 million. Okay, so it's your choice. Which one? 3 million or the penny? Who wants to swap? Go on, shout out someone. Someone who doesn't know. Someone who doesn't know. Okay, so after 20 days, okay, after 20 days, the 1 pence is worth £5,000. Okay, because daily upon daily it's been doubling. Yeah. So the people who took the 3 million, the greedy people, that 3 million still far outweighs the £5,000, right? It doesn't start to get interesting until we get to about the 28th day. And I think, off the top of my head, let me just work it back. About the 28th day, it's worth about 500,000. Okay? I think the 29th day, it's worth £1.5 million. The 30th day, 2.5. Anyway, the 31st day, it ends up £10 million, right? Got that wrong a little bit, but £10 million by the 31st day. Why? Because it compounded day upon day upon day, right? And it was doing it with intensity, with purpose, simply just doubling every single day. So that in 31 days it was worth £10 million, right? Now most people want the instant gratification. Most people want it right now, yeah? They want the £3 million. They're not prepared to wait. And that comes like weight loss, like anything else you want to achieve. People aren't prepared to put in the daily work and wait for results, yet they want the gratification that comes at the end of it. Does that make sense? So they want the end result, but they're not prepared to put the steps in every single day. And this one thing, like, changed how I've done everything. Because I was like, wow, like, if I could just change what person's, like, someone's one habit every single week for 52 weeks, that's 52 new behaviours that they've developed in a year, right? But more likely, the 1 or 2 habits will spiral into more habits, and more and more and more and more. And if I ask them just to focus on one thing every week to do, how much more effective could that be long term? Because let's face it, who could stick to one thing every single week? If I said keep everything the same, just do this one thing for me. Yeah, that's easy, right? Agreed? Yeah?
Yeah.
So if I was to say, for example, something like drink next week, somebody who doesn't drink much water, hands up. You go. Okay, next week, how much water do you drink? Don't know. About a litre?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, so say next week, can you drink 2 litres for me? That's it. 2 litres every single day. That's all I ask of them. Yeah? It's pretty achievable, right? So then I ask people that say, okay, out of a scale of 1 to 10, how likely is it that you're going to achieve that? Okay, 2 litres of water. A lot of people will say 10, I definitely do that. If somebody turned around to me and said a 3, I don't think I can do that, then guess what I'd do? I'd ask them to do something different, right? Why? Because I don't want to give them something that they're going to fail at once again, alright? People are in a fragile state of yo-yo dieting for a period of time, and they come to a point where they fail. right? They fail, they fail, they fail, they fail. So why would I set something that they've already told me previously that they can't do? Which is pretty much kind of what I used to do and still get results. But this way I found is far better in the long term. Okay? So I just ended up being like the devil, saying you can't eat this, you can't eat this, you can't eat this, you can't eat this. People end up hating me. Right? So I like to be liked. And so basically, if you were to do this every single week, all you have to do is tick a chart. Yes, done. Every week, tick a chart. Then next week you do 2. The week after you do 3. The week after that you do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that in 52 weeks you're a completely different person. Now your results, first of all, go like this. Yeah? Because nothing much has changed. But then after like 6 weeks, 12 weeks, it starts to get interesting. And then everything starts taking off because so much is like, it's like momentum, right? You build up the momentum, the slow, every single day, doing the right things. You're getting reward every day because you're ticking off and you finally feel a sense of gratification. You finally feel a sense of achievement because you're doing the right thing all of the time. And it's easy, right? And that switches your mind because finally you're doing something. You're moving forward every step, right? And nobody's asking too much of it. Does that make sense? So that's a huge way to change your bad habits into good habits. So, breakfast. Most people believe in the hype of the stereotypical breakfast being the most important meal of the day. Agree? Who's heard that before?
Yeah.
Most important meal of the day. And if you don't eat breakfast, you won't lose weight. Or you'll go into starvation mode and you'll start storing fat. So you don't eat food, yet you store fat. Okay. So, who's heard that one before?
Yeah.
Everybody. It's like a really common thing, right? And if I was to tell you that milk, wheat, gluten, and sugar are some of the biggest contributors to storing body fat, and if you look at the average person's breakfast, it is completely overloaded with these, would you start to think that maybe breakfast is actually making you fat? Correct? Because do a Google search for breakfast, guess what comes up? Bread, cereals, milk, yeah, all these grains which don't agree with us. I'm not going to get into the whole milk debate tonight because it's a very controversial thing that will take me off topic. You can ask me afterwards if you want. But does that make sense yet? I'll just go back and say that again. So if I was to tell you that milk, wheat, gluten, sugar are the biggest contributors to storing body fat, and every single average person's breakfast is completely overloaded with them, would you start to think that maybe breakfast is actually making me fatter? Yeah? I tend to think that, right? So, for those that have never met me, don't know me, don't know what we do, 99% of my clients don't eat breakfast. Okay? I don't eat breakfast in a traditional sense. We eat it a little later than usual. Okay? Tell you why? If I was to say I have a chicken salad for breakfast at 7 in the morning, what would happen? Not a chance. I used to force turkey burgers down my mouth at 5:30 in the morning. Like that. Cold, cooked up the night before. Horrendous, right? I don't know why I ever used to do that. So we have our breakfast a little later, maybe 12, 1 o'clock. Okay, you might be thinking that's lunch, right? But it's not, because breakfast, break a fast, right? What happens when you don't eat overnight? You fast. Okay, so we're still having breakfast, it's just a little bit later. Then there's numerous reasons that we do this. Numerous. First of all, how is it possible that if you don't eat breakfast that we don't go to fat storing starvation mode? Because that's what everybody tells you. Okay? And I've learned a rule in life. What everybody tells you is generally the wrong thing. Do the direct polar opposite, you pretty much get results. Okay? Always go against the grain. Gets you in trouble at school a lot. So, think about it this way. You wake up at what time? Somebody shout out what time you get up to bed. Not our gang, because we get out stupid times. I get up at 4. Okay, what time do our guys get up? Most people 7-ish, yeah? 7? Yeah? You've got no stupid reason to get up and train ridiculously early like us. 7 o'clock, have breakfast pretty much straight away, right? Because you're probably rushing for time in the morning. Who's rushed for time in the morning to get to work and stuff? Most people. Yeah? Have breakfast. Then what happens around about 9 o'clock? So 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, you have a break, 10 o'clock. Diet Coke break. Yeah? Are you hungry by then? Yeah? Most people are hungry by then, so what they have some kind of snack. Generally when I worked in a factory before I'd done my A-levels, I took a year out and I worked in Nissan. I used to eat breakfast, drink Lucozade to get me through the first break. First break I'd have a bacon, sausage, egg, hash brown sandwich about that big. Then I'd crawl back on the line to build cars. Then I'd have an even bigger lunch. Then I would roll back on the line. Then I'd get home, smash a few chocolate hobnobs with a cup of tea and then fall asleep on the couch. Wake up, eat my tea, then have like 4 muffins or something, right? So I was eating constantly from, I used to have to be at work like 6 o'clock because my dad liked to get there an hour early. Right? My dad right there as well. An hour early and I don't get paid for it. I was like 18 at the time. I was like, what? So I'd eat from like 5:30, I'd eat 10 o'clock, I'd eat 12 o'clock, I'd eat like 3:30 when I finished work, I'd eat at 7 o'clock, I'd eat at 9 o'clock again. So I was constantly eating from like 5:30 in the morning until about 9 o'clock at night, right? Then I'd go to bed, that's 8 hours I wasn't eating for because I was asleep. That makes sense? So I was eating for 16 hours solid, and I was only not eating for 8 hours. Now, here's a little analogy. Who works in an office job? Anyone at a desk? Anyone got a boss that gives them lots of work to do? Okay, so imagine like your boss just goes like this, big load of work, and just says, okay, can you do this for me by first break? Yeah? Massive pile. You've already got a pile from yesterday, so you're getting a bit pissed off, right? So then, like 20 minutes later, without any kind of notice or warning, they bring another pile of work. Right? You still haven't even sorted through yesterday's work, and you're trying to get through the first lot of work, and now there's some more work. Then a few hours later, more work. A few hours later, more work, right? What starts to happen to you? You can just picture yourself standing behind a desk and papers stacking up like that. What do you think starts to happen? Stress, right? You probably feel your heart like palpitations there, right? And that's because you're asked to do a lot of stuff, right? You're getting overwhelmed with stuff to do. So why do we think our digestive system's any different? Right? If we haven't digested yesterday's food, why would we just put food in again when it's still digesting from yesterday? And then when that food still hasn't digested, eat again and put food in to digest, then again and again and again. Right? I was probably eating 6 or 7 times, including snacks. And if you think about it, your digestive system, like your stomach, right, is like that big. No word of lie, that big, right? And most people like eat a bigger portion than that when they have their food. So the stomach expands, then it kind of has to do lots of work. Then they eat more food, it has to do more work, and then you get like bellyache or you get bloated. Ever seen guys with big bloated bellies like that, right? That's not their fat, right? It's called leaky gut syndrome. Basically, their stomach starts to leak fluid into the abdomen area around. Right? That's why you've ever seen how rock hard, like a big guy, beer belly, rock hard, because all the fluid seeps out of the stomach into the surrounding area. That's because there's no place for the stomach to digest the food. Right? So we flip it, right? We eat for 8 hours now, instead of 16. Does that make sense? So imagine now you have one piece of work to do, and you get it done in a short space of time, 8 hours. That's it. One piece to do, all 8 hours. That makes sense? So it's a lot less stressful, right? There's 3 meals, and that's it. So how we do it, we delay it to lunchtime. And I'm going to talk you through the science of it in a second. We delay it till lunchtime, then we eat between 12 and 8. 3 meals. And I'm going to talk you through an average daily consumption. Alright? So the science behind it here, I'm going to explain to you. I'm not an astrophysicist yet, but that is a sun. Right? That is a moon, I think. Alright, so this is called the natural circadian release of cortisol. So this is like one of our hormones. Cortisol is a stress hormone. Anyone heard of that before? Yeah, you get it as injections because it's an anti-inflammatory as well. Right, and basically, this is what it does all day, right? Just waves. this is a full cycle of a day from 12 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock at night, midnight, 6 a.m. It peaks about 8, 9 a.m. Okay? And that cycle goes over and over again. So from lunchtime it starts to dip. Okay? Now, if I was to tell you that cortisol is the hormone that gets you out of bed in the morning, it's also the one that allows you to sleep at night. Okay? That makes sense? I don't want to lose anybody. You can see that it mimics that, right? Because when it starts to get light, it rises. When it starts to get dark, it dips. So if we have breakfast at like 6 o'clock when it's on the rise, guess what happens? We release a hormone called insulin. Has anybody heard of insulin before? Anyone heard of insulin resistance? AKA diabetes? Yeah? So basically we release insulin, which takes the nutrients from the food and pushes it into our cells. When people become diabetic, right, that process stops. So they literally starve on a cellular level. That's how people die of diabetes. Nutrients don't get pushed into the cells, so they literally starve on a cellular level. And that's why they need jobs. Alright? So when we eat, we increase in insulin.
Sorry, I thought you were swearing.
No worries.
Come on, Johnny. Come on.
When we eat, we increase in insulin. And when... throw me off completely. When insulin increases, cortisol decreases. That makes sense. So if we eat early on, right here, yeah, it forces cortisol down. But what's happening here? It's on the rise. Yeah, we eat, insulin goes up, cortisol goes down because hormones will always work in pairs, like a seesaw. That makes sense? Cortisol, remember, is the hormone that gets us out of bed in the morning, so it gives us our energy, right? Has anybody ever felt tired and wired in the evening and really groggy in the mornings? Really tired but can't sleep?
Yeah.
That's because cortisol doesn't wave like that, it generally goes flat. So it's too high it's too low in the morning, too high in the evening. Does that make sense? So it doesn't allow you to sleep, it doesn't give you the energy to get out of bed. So when we have any kind of carbohydrate for breakfast, insulin increases, cortisol decreases, so does our energy levels. Right? Our fat burning also stops because growth hormone's really high in the morning as we wake up. Cortisol releases fatty acids into the bloodstream, so we're burning fat as we wake up. As soon as we eat, we stop that. Okay? As soon as we eat, we stop that. So you can see just hormonally that eating breakfast doesn't make sense, right? Because when we get to lunchtime, 12 o'clock, guess what happens to cortisol? It starts to what? Come down. So wouldn't it be wise to eat in correlation with that? Anybody ever had a giant meal before? Yeah? And felt so tired afterwards? Like literally. Right? That's because we have an insulin surge and it pushes cortisol down really low. Right? What happens when we go to bed? Cortisol should be low. So we should feel tired. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the fact is, people tell you to eat carbohydrates early in the day, don't they? Eat them first in the day, then you burn them out through the day. Flat out wrong, right? Because the hormones tell us it's wrong. Right? If we eat carbohydrates in the evening, we know that it reduces cortisol, we know we're going to bed, doesn't that make more sense? Because we know that the carbohydrates are going to make us tired and sleepy. Yeah? Who's had carbs and felt sleepy? So why eat them in the morning when it's going to make us sleepy? Why not eat it at night when we don't need energy? Does that make sense? It's really simple, really simple. Okay, so, does that mean I'm skipping a meal by eating my lunch at 12? No, it doesn't, okay? If you knew that 100% of my clients who do this feel awesome and get incredible results, and you want incredible results, you have two options. One, start pushing your breakfast back, or two, continue struggling doing something that hasn't been working for you. Okay, remember I said you've either got a result or an excuse. Does that make sense? So that's the two options. Alright? What do you think you should do? Try it, maybe? Yeah? Because remember, you don't always have to understand it or believe it. Sometimes you just have to accept it. try it. If it's not good for you, then go back to eating breakfast at a traditional time.
Wait, I didn't eat. Around lunchtime, I'd start shaking.
Because your blood sugars are like that all day, right? So until you start balancing your blood sugars, then you'll feel like that. Once your blood sugars are balanced, then you'll never get that feeling again. Too much sugars in your diet, you feel shaky at any point. Yeah. So basically, anytime you feel shaky or you feel sick because you haven't eaten, that's because cortisol goes really high, insulin drops low, right? So your blood sugars drop through the floor, that's when you start craving sugar. Yeah? When cortisol goes high, it's stress hormones, so it makes you feel sick. Anyone felt sick exercising?
Today I felt like about 10 o'clock. I did have a craving.
Oh, did you feel better? Yeah, right, because it's pure sugar, right? So basically, right? Yeah, you could have made a better choice, right? You could have had a banana. A better choice. But the thing is, the fact of the matter is, if you think about it, right? If we go aside from what it is, it's pure sugar, right? What do we know from sugar? It increases insulin, it decreases cortisol, so it makes sense why it would stop it from feeling sick. That makes sense? So hormonally it makes sense. So probably because you didn't have anything else, it got a wise choice. Okay, so a typical day for our members. Wake up at 6:15, wake up and then train at 6:15, so we start training then. 7:10, pretty much home from training and prepping food for the day. Plus all the kids and the mad time, so imagine prepping breakfast at that time as well. Work 9 AM, first meal 12 lunch, second meal 4 PM, which is extra from 12 o'clock. So you're not making an extra meal, you're just doubling up what you had. Third meal finished by 8 o'clock at night. 10 PM, 10:30 bed. Because that, if we go back to the circadian rhythm, that tells us when we should be going to bed. Okay, because our hormones dictate everything. Does that make sense? We are our hormones. If we are moody, if we are angry, if we are anything else, it's all hormones. Okay, so if your hormones aren't optimized, that's why you feel that way. Does that make sense? Okay, so moving on to the liver. The liver is the key to unlock fat loss. Ooh. The liver is the key to unlock fat loss. Alright? Here's the deal. Somebody who needs to go from there to there, right? This person has high toxicity in their body, no doubt, right? These are toxic. The person as they start losing weight is less toxic. Who's ever done a diet before? Lost weight and then ballooned. Put more weight on. Yeah? Because you probably cook calories, right? You probably reduce the amount of food that you eat. So naturally, as you do that, you will lose weight. However, if you think about it as this, right? Say I've got, let's say, toxins, 5 blocks of toxins within my body, right? And I currently weigh 15 stone. If I lose 2 stone, yet still have 5 blocks of toxins in me, what does that mean? What happens to concentration toxicity in my body? More toxicity in a lesser frame. That makes sense? So when that happens, your liver basically goes into a frenzy because it knows that a high toxicity in the body will cause a lot of damage. Right? So what it does is say, basically we've got to do something here. Let's get all these toxins into the fat stores because it can't do any damage there. Then we'll pull in water. Water will dilute the toxins and we'll store it as fat. That makes sense? So that's why you yo-yo, right? That's why it happens. So to get healthy, we must get the liver healthy, right? Because until you do that, then you're going to struggle dropping fat and you're going to be yo-yoing all of the time. So that's when you have to go in a different mindset and think it's not about weight loss, it's about getting healthy. That's the only way to get the liver function. Here's the deal, Vic. Drinking at the weekend, right? Depending on how much you drank, it takes 7 days for the liver to detoxify alcohol, right? The liver does 2 things. It does a lot of things, but it does 2 things very well. It processes alcohol and it burns fat. But it only does one or the other. So if you drink for 7 to 10 days, 14 days, depending on how much alcohol you've consumed, it actually halts your fat loss. Because it can't process fat. It can't process fat and alcohol at the same time, right? Because if you think about it, What is fat? Just told you that, stored toxins. That makes sense? So to process fat, it's really toxic. And actually, like, sometimes if people are incredibly unhealthy and they start to lose fat, they can get jaundice because it causes like liver disease, right? Because there's so much toxicity coming out of the fat stores through the liver. That makes sense? Now, if the liver's really toxic and it's got alcohol, like processing alcohol, right? Why would it start to process some more toxic stuff through the liver? Why would it put more toxic stuff through? That makes sense? Because it's going to double the toxicity that's going through. So no matter how well you're eating, no matter what you're doing, all you're going to do is kind of get some nutrients into your body, but you're just going to cling on to fat because you're not in a position to drop fat. You're not healthy enough to drop it. That makes sense? So with alcohol, you have to understand that that's the cause and effect of it, okay? So, here's a little case study for you. I want you to put yourself in the shoes of this lady, alright? So a lady approached me and told me she was struggling to lose weight. Okay, she told me that she'd been counting calories and couldn't give up her weekend wine and counted points for her treats through the week, so she should save points. Does that sound familiar? A lot of people done that before? Her weekend wine was more than just one glass, and it was way more. Often, way more. Okay? Sometimes she'd even train hard through the week so that she could counteract the calories of wine. Right? So she didn't even drink more wine through the week because she trained in the gym. Right? That makes sense? Trade-off, right? I'll burn it off later. Who said that before? Come on. Everyone said that before. I'll burn it off later. She told me that no matter what she tried, she'd lose a little weight, then her weight wasn't shifting, and that it's hopeless. I'll never lose weight, and I've never been able to. Okay? Anybody kind of had these feelings in their head before? That I'm never going to be able to do this? Okay? My reply. You're right, you never will lose weight, first of all, with that mindset and also your approach. Because she already told me she's not giving up a wine for anyone, right? And I know through liver toxicity that she's going to struggle to drop fat because the liver's going to be constantly toxic. If she's drinking every 3 days or every 7 days, it's just about processing the alcohol, then it's doing it again and again and again, okay? People who tell you a glass of wine a day is good are liars. straight out liars, right? Since you're not able to give up your wine and midweek treats, you may as well reside to being overweight and unhappy all of your life. Okay, that's what I said, though. Is that harsh? Or is it the truth? Sometimes people need to tell you the truth, right? Need to kick you into touch. She was shocked, and then I proceeded to say, you can't out-train a bad diet. She already told me she was saving up her points so she could have treats midweek, right? Any kind of sugar, dairy, wheat, gluten, all contribute to toxicity in the liver. Okay, so all of that, on top of the chemicals, on top of the pollution, on top of the stuff that we spray on our skin, is all chemicals on our body, all processed by the liver. It's got a pretty tough time. When the liver goes, guess what? Kaput. Done. Right? A toxic liver won't drop fat. You aren't prepared to tackle the exact problem that is holding you back. You don't believe you can lose weight. You already told me you lost a little weight, so it is clear that you can lose weight. And everything else is just an excuse. Okay? I then asked her the killer question. What would you have to do differently if you were to quadruple your weight loss efforts in a shorter space of time? What would you do differently? Okay? So she already told me she wouldn't cut her wine out, she was having midweek treats. Then I replied with, toxic liver doesn't drop fat. Yeah? Her current mindset, current approach is wrong because she doesn't believe that she can lose weight, so all of her efforts and her mindset are wasted. So it's like, what's the point anyway, right? It's like if I drop my mobile phone on the floor, the normal person picks it back up, right? In a weight loss sense, she is dropping her phone on the floor and continually stamp all over it until it's in tiny bits. Because she can't do it, right? She said, I can't do it. So basically, every time she falls off the wagon, it's like the gates have opened and it's like people charging in and everything. Eating whatever she wants, right? So what do you think you'd have to do differently if you wanted to quadruple the weight loss efforts in a short space of time? Any ideas? Yeah? Yeah?
Change your mindset.
Yeah? Reduce the level of toxicity. Okay? So let me reframe this whole situation. People think that they can overhaul everything, increase the training, eat a little better, and completely shift their unwanted fat. They believe by totally going gung-ho that they're going to finally get in shape. How many people made a New Year's resolution? Anyone? Anyone? Anyone know somebody who did? Anyone know somebody who did who is completely not doing what they said they were going to do?
Yep.
Yeah? Because of this, they're like, in January I'm going to do this, right? And they fire themselves up, but they talk about it more than they be about it. Okay? Their life does not model anything they talk about, right? So good intentions, yes. But in reality, that is the polar opposite of what they need to do. Because she has so many things that she's struggling with. Her mindset, she's struggling with her nutrition, she's struggling to give up alcohol, which is more than one faceted thing, right? It's more than one habit. It's not just drinking. When you break it down, it's drinking, it's socialising. It's probably not going for nights out with her friends. It's probably avoiding her friends. It's probably avoiding meals out through the week. So it's more than just one small thing to cut out alcohol, right? So she needs to focus on, first of all, the big, fat, juicy frog, as I like to call it. Okay, and there's Pac-Man trying to eat with the frog. So all those £20 notes is what £1 million looks like in cash. Okay? Basically, the £1 million represents a dream body. She is Pac-Man, and the wine is the big fat frog. That makes sense? She has to eat the big fat frog before she gets to the goal. Okay? So now, this is how I approach things. Like, the first protocol is to tackle the big fat frog. Right? Look for the big fat frog. Everybody's got a bad habit. We talked about habits there. So everybody's got one thing that they won't give up for anything. Generally, it's a glass of wine on Saturday night. Yeah? Well, the thing is, right? If you don't get rid of this, you do not get that. Simple as that. Alright? You can try and eat your way around it as much as you want, but you're not going to get past it. Most people, if you look at a plate of frogs, so if I had a plate of frogs there and that was sat in the middle, there was all the babies around it, most people would eat the little baby frogs first, and then always leave the big one, right? My theory is that if you tackle the biggest frog first, that's the big chunk of it out of the way, then the little ones are easy after that, right? So that's how I do the bush tucker trials. I go for the biggest, fattest, horriblest thing first, and then everything else will be easy after that. Okay? Does that make sense? Number 2, the elephant. So people view the journey, right? They view the journey as a massive task. If I was to say to you, eat this elephant, there's £1 million. How do you do it? What do you say? Generally, I can't do it. It's too big, right? Tell you how I eat an elephant? 1 forkful at a time. Alright? So that represents pound by pound, meal by meal, day by day, right? Doing the right things every single day. Nobody asks you to eat the elephant right now, right here, right there, to get to the £1 million. They just ask you to eat the elephant, right? So weight loss, we need to think longer term instead of trying to get instant gratification. Yeah, think of it as the elephant, fork by fork. If all she does is address these 2 factors alone, then nothing else matters. Right? It comes back to intensity and simplicity. Because it's intense, she's attacking the right things, and it's very simple. That make sense? Yeah? All coming together now? Good. Okay. This is for some guys who maybe not be with us, right? So all the guys that are already involved, that's cool. But would you agree that tonight was time well spent? Yeah? Got a lot out of it, even our current members a lot from it. Okay, so sadly in 1 hour, I can't really cover everything that we go through, okay? And even if we had a full day, I could talk all day like this and I'd never stop talking. Right? People have to tell me to go home in the morning because I'm just chatting and telling stories all the time, okay? Plus it wouldn't be practical to overload you with information, right? Why? Because we've already said that trying to go gung-ho on everything isn't the right approach. It's about small things. over time, alright? So I'm so excited to be able to give the people who aren't part of our fitness camp this offer tonight, where you can get everything you need to know. And if you act tonight, it's a very special offer, okay? But it's not for public. So this is basically how we work. This is what everything you get, and probably this is shocking to some of our members because they're probably not even using all of this stuff, right? So basically 12 group personal training sessions, train with me live. You train 3 times a week, 45 minutes tops. That's including warm-up, cool-down. In the sessions, you'll be taken through full mobility drills, activation work, metabolic workout to keep your metabolism burning fat for 48 hours post-workout. Alright? Basically, like, all of that is a bunch of stuff to tell you that you'll feel better, you'll move better, you'll reduce injuries. Okay? That's a £96 value. So unlimited access to your trainer via a membership site, which we're just about to get a brand new kick-ass membership site, by the way. It's being built as we speak. With some awesome stuff on. Basically, we get access to our Facebook group in a circle, where that's probably the most positive thing. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Best thing that we've ever done is had that group and interact and kind of join in with each other. That's a 150 value. Then lifetime access to Fitness Camp Academy VIP members area. That's the special part of the membership site that's being built. And based on £20 per month, that would be like 240 just in 1 year's membership to that site. So I'm thinking about actually opening up that to the public of people who can't come to our training. Okay, so there'll be some cool stuff on there. Free access to at least 2 live seminars per year. So Paula, remember the day-long thing we did?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, going to start putting some more of them on. Saturdays, you'll get access to those. That's a £94 value. Nutrition welcome pack. That nutrition plan's worth £197. That's what I'd charge people if I was to write a nutrition plan for them on a one-off. And then we get a 3-course recipe book, including dressings, which was over 100 recipes. That's a £14 value. Plus a chance to win personalised nutrition plan and coaching call. I actually now charge a lot of money just for one-to-one consultations because I don't have a lot of time, right? And what I started out, the thing is time versus money, right? I don't want to waste time doing something just for money, right? So that's a higher price now. So that's a $297 value. And I'm also going to be putting together this program called the Regenesis program. It's about people who need a little bit more coaching, a little bit more support. Because sometimes in the bigger group you don't always get that one-to-one care, okay? And sometimes you'd like more support, more care, like you pick your phone up at any time and do it. So basically the total value of what we provide for everybody is $1,537.99, right? You guys might not realise that, but if I was to charge individually for every single aspect of it, that's what our membership would come up to. So make sure that you're using getting full access to that. Okay? My personal training fee now is £70 per hour. That's working with me 1 time per week, so that would be like $280 a month, right? So I decided to let everybody have access to me for 4 weeks for £99, and that's if you're just general public. But you guys who are here are a little bit more special because you've spent time with me, you've given me an hour of your time, which is important to me because I do value people's time. Okay, I'm always appreciative of people's time. So if you act tonight whilst you're here, you can get all of this for just £49 for 3 weeks of fat melting body shape coaching. So those people who are new here, who aren't part of our fitness camp, you get to come for 3 weeks and do £49, see how we work, and see how we can revolutionise the results in 21 days. Does that sound cool? Yeah? Plus the first 5 people, and there's a few bailed, and probably anyone that signs up tonight will get a one-to-one private meeting with me as well to discuss how they can rapidly get fat loss results. Alright? And that's the first 10 members to go to the back and fill in the form with Danielle. I'll do that one-to-one with them as well, just for coming and giving me time tonight. Right? I'll either do it over the phone, over Skype, do video chat, or I'll meet them up for a one-to-one. Okay, because I want to really start enhancing people's results. So that's for members as well. If you want to fill a form in, we'll get in touch with the group that and lock it down. Okay? So the faster you sign up, the better deal you get, basically. Alright, guys? Everything we do is always 200% money back guaranteed as well. So basically, I'm that confident that what we can do can change your life and change everything that you do. What do you do now? Okay, so like I said, go to the back where Danielle is right now, take a form. First 5 people get a one-to-one bonus. Fill in all of your details on the form, hand the back to Danielle. We'll process your investment and then we'll email everything you need. And we start on Monday. Okay? The times you've got to choose from are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6:15 AM, or Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 6:30 PM. Okay? All you have to do is look around and ask those that are part of what we do. Some of them are family, some of them are friends, how much we've actually changed their life. Most likely a lot of them are your friends are here. Okay? I love this quote, right? Losing weight is like baking a cake. I just made this up myself before, actually, so proud of myself. Who can bake a cake if I give them the recipe? Do you, Ollie? Yeah. Until you have the right recipe or blueprint, it's difficult, okay? So I said, go make a chocolate cake, just off the top of your head. Go and get the ingredients for Asda there now, make a chocolate cake. Right, you'd struggle, wouldn't you? Okay? But once you have the proven method that's guaranteed to work, you follow the steps, you cannot fail. Alright, so if I was to give 2 eggs, 100 grams of sugar, 100 grams of butter, whatever, flour, Danielle's the cake master.
Oh, that's it, I'll bake.
Yeah, that would be a naughty cake. Once you have the step-by-step plan, then you can achieve anything, right? So basically, I'm saving a lot of time for you guys and a lot of wasted money and etc. If you haven't yet took action, probably might be a little skeptical. Once you get your hands on our unstoppable fat loss formula, you shall see it all stuff that is top quality, alright? So thanks guys, thanks for attending. I'd love to put your frustrations behind you and take advantage of the crazy special offer tonight. And Danielle will fill the phone with you right at the back of the room. I hope you enjoyed that, I hope you got a lot from it. Any questions, I'll be over there at the back. Come and see me and we can have a chat, okay? Well done, thank you guys. Enjoy that?
Yay!
Ah.